Hello, Big Two. Hello, friends. Welcome to Lizziefaye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth. This is different. If you have seen either of my last two videos, you know that I divided my October wrap up into three parts because I read 41 books in the month of October. I had a fantastic reading month, but you also may have heard that I have COVID, or at least I'm getting over it right now. I hope I'm at the tail end of it. If I have to pause and cough or whatever, please understand. And if my voice starts getting really scratchy, then I'm going to have to, just try to get through this as quick as I can. But in this video, I want to talk about the middle grade books that I read. I read 10 middle grade books, and I'm also going to throw in a couple of YA fantasy books that I read. I kind of had planned to put those in my other miscellaneous video, kind of forgot, so I will mention those here, although I don't really have a lot to say about either of them. Mainly, though, I wanted to do this one separately because Storm from Storm Reads hosted this really fun readathon for the month of October called Hallowtween. And the idea was to read spooky middle grade books in celebration of the season. And so I am not a big spooky fan. I don't read much in the way of scary stories, ghost stories. I don't watch those kind of movies really much, with the exception of Tremors, stuff like that. I've said this before. If it's about a creature that mutates and multiplies, then I'm all about that. But anyway, I did not necessarily think that I was going to read enough in those categories that I would, consider myself a participant of the readathon. But as the month continued on and I was looking at the Sunshine State list and realizing that there were several spooky books on there, and I had a couple of books on my shelf, and a couple of the things that I was already reading met some of the prompts, I thought, I may as well just go all in and try to check off these prompts. So it's a 9 prompt board, and if I can get a image of it, I'll put it here. If I can't, I'm sorry, but I will, in the description below, I will put a link to her announcement video where she shows the challenge board. It's got 9 prompts, and she did a really good job on her bingo board. It's super cute with all the little creatures and icons on it. But why am I at my computer? Okay, so if you saw either of my last two videos, you may have noticed that the video was out of sync with the audio. One of them, it was like a full 2.5 minutes at the beginning of the video. It was terrible, I know. I'm sorry about that. And then the one I just uploaded a couple days ago, there's a couple of spots in the middle that were out of sync. I went back and and went, back to my editing software and tried to even it out. It wasn't perfect by any means. And plus then a portion of it got deleted and I had to refilm that when it was dark, and oh my goodness. I apologize for both those videos. They were a mess. Anyway, so I'm trying this right now with my webcam just to see how it goes. I've already done a test run, so I've had to watch a video to figure out how to go back and find the video on my computer. But anyway, I'm just trying this to get through a couple of videos that I need to do right now, and hopefully by like Black Friday, if not before, I can get a new phone. I think that I'm gonna have to for several reasons. Um, the memory's about full, and the camera app is now acting up. Just when I want to send a text message, it's sluggish, and so I need to upgrade to a 5G anyway. They keep calling me trying to get me to do it, and so anyway, what I want to do today, though, is talk about the middle grade books that I read. Now, I will say I would consider some of the books by Lucy Maud Montgomery and related books. I would consider several of those middle grade and YA, but I've already done a video about those. So, like I said, the first 2.5 minutes of that video it drags. So just listen without watching. How about that? Um, and but then at 2.29, it evens out and it's good for the rest of the video. So just so you know. Anyway, so I'm not going to rehash all of those again. You could go and check out that video, but I am going to mention one of them because I'm using it for one of the prompts for Hallowtween. Okay, so let me just go through all the books first, and then at the end, I'll go back and talk about which book I counted for each prompt. So the first two books are not scary books. These are children's classics, and I read these for Elizabeth Tyree's Classic Children's Literature Book Club that she started a few months ago. And because of the hurricane, and I didn't get this one read in September, I read it at the beginning of October. The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I had read this before. I've seen the movie multiple times. I love it. It's a beautiful book and very much enjoyed it. In fact, I listened to it twice. Then for October, we read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Now, I had not ever read this. I've seen the movie, both movies, multiple times, but I had never read the book. And it was shocking. There is a lot of harsh language when it talks about the children. Uh, in the way that they're described, like Augustus Gloop is described as fat, uh, and just all the different ways that the kids are described. Now, they are awful. I'm acknowledging that. But, I think in today's society, we try really hard not to label kids and we want to help them more than criticize. I did feel like that the book itself was really a commentary and a criticism to parents more so than the children. And the author definitely blames the parents for the state of the children. And, rightfully so. I would not dispute that. Anyway, it was fun though. I sound like I'm picking it apart. It was really a fun book, but it's harsh. He doesn't mince words. And if you've never read it, and if you've just seen either of the movies, you ought to pick it up and read it. It was fun. All right, a couple of series that are on my Serious About Series list. One of them I finished. This is book 3 in a trilogy. It's the Overthrow trilogy by Kenneth Opel, and book 3 is called Thrive. This is a science fiction / horror trilogy. The first book, Bloom, was a Sunshine State book last year, and Donna and Storm read that one with me. We did a little buddy read, and then Donna and I went on and read book 2. I guess just last month I finished it, and that was called Hatch. And so I went ahead and read Thrive. I liked this one probably more than the other two. The first one was pretty gross. I mean, it was definitely horror. This one was really more science fiction. It had a lot of political drama and things like that, and adventure. The the kids that are the main characters are kind of going on quests to help save the planet, that kind of thing. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. So I'm glad that I went on and read the rest of the trilogy. And then another trilogy that I have started now, even though I've read book 2 several years ago, I had never read book 1, and I'm going to go back and reread book 2 and then go on to 3 now. This is by Andrew Clements. It's the Things trilogy. And this first book is called Things Not Seen. It's about a boy who wakes up one morning and he is invisible. And throughout the course of the book, he becomes friends with a girl who's blind. So it's just a really interesting dynamic. His father is a scientist, and so when he wakes up invisible, of course, the science brain of his dad is like immediately trying to figure out, what's going on and how to fix it and that kind of thing. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good, and I'm looking forward to rereading book 2 now. Um, the main character of this one is a side character in book 2. Okay, so then I read 4 books from the Sunshine State list. The Sunshine State list. And a couple of them are books I would consider kind of on the spookier side where, they could fit with the Hallowtween Readathon. I don't have a physical copy of one, but I'll try to put a picture here. It's called Scratch, and I think the author is Lindsay Curran or Curry. Lindsay Curry, is that right? I'm just doing it from memory here. But anyway, it's definitely a ghost story. It's about a girl whose parents or father does ghost tours, and she is not a believer in ghosts at all, but she gets roped into helping him one night, and a ghost follows her on, a ghost ends up on their bus and follows her home, and it goes from there. It's pretty creepy. It's really not my cup of tea, but I read some reviews. Several people that I follow and am Goodreads friends with read it and really loved it. So I guess as ghost stories go, it's a pretty good one, but it's not really my thing. Another one is Curse of the Night Witch by Alex Astor. This is more of an adventure story, but there were lots of creepy things and monsters and kids going on a quest to find the Night Witch. And so, again, not really my kind of thing either, but not bad. And then one that's not creepy, but I am counting it for Halloween because it's got orange on the cover, and I needed something for that. This is Rivals by Tommy Greenwald. Most of Tommy Greenwald's books that I've read have been humorous. I didn't really see a lot of humor in this, but it was about two rival schools with rival basketball teams. One is very privileged and the other one not so much, and it's the story of how they are able to come together, not just as rivals, but as friends. And I thought it was a good story. I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite Tommy Greenwald, but definitely more along the lines of, he's got another one that's about a football player. It's kind of more along those lines. I can't think of the name of it, but anyway, it's more sports related, but it also has a good, sorry, I keep moving it around. It's hard to find a spot that doesn't glare. I don't even know what I was saying. um, it's sports related and, not super humorous, but a good story. And it brings in other issues other than sports about friendships and getting along and things like that. Then my favorite so far on the Sunshine State list, and really probably one of my favorite books for the month and maybe even for the year, is Starfish by Lisa Phipps. This is told in, is it called Free Verse? It's about a young girl who has been bullied her whole life, even really by members of her family, and that hurts the most, I think. It's a beautiful book. Oh my goodness. I was in tears part of the time, and I highly recommend this. It was just a fantastic book. Um, I I think you ought to read it. Everyone should pick it up. If you've ever been bullied, if you've ever uttered a bullying word, um, which in my childhood, I can claim both of those. You should read it. It's really good. I'm gonna tear up just thinking about it. Okay. Then a couple of other middle grade books that I read just because it was Halloween. I read the first two books in the 43 Old Cemetery Road series by Kate. Is it Cleese or Kleiss? I don't know. I'm sorry, I didn't look that up. The first book is Dying to Meet You, and the second book is Over My Dead Body. Uh, these were cute. They're kind of epistolary for the most part, and lots of fun illustrations, and they were cute. These were recommended to me by our children's librarian at my local public library, who used to be the elementary librarian when my daughter Katie was in elementary school. And I believe this first book was a Sunshine State book for 3rd to 5th grade several years ago. So anyway, whenever she was recommending that to me back several years ago when we were talking about Sunshine State books. Then I ran across those at a library sale at 2 different times and picked them up. And I thought, tis the season. I may as well read those, and then I can count them for the Hallowtween Readathon. Okay, so 2 YA books I want to just mention briefly. I don't really have much to say about any of these. I enjoyed these. This is The Amaranth Enchantment by Julie Berry. I picked this up at a library sale several years ago, I think, and I recognized the author because she wrote The Scandalous Sisterhood of Prickwillow Place, which I loved. And so I thought I may as well just read this. So the reason I happened to pick it up in October is because at the beginning of the month, our power was out for a few days because of a hurricane. And I just learned right before turning on the camera, there's another one coming from a different direction. And anyway, so I had a battery operated CD player. I couldn't download anything to my phone. So I picked this up and I listened to it. It's kind of a Cinderella story. Not bad. It didn't blow me away, but it was fine. And then this one I started in September and didn't finish it until October. This is what I counted for my fantasy prompt in the Fall Into Reading Challenge. This is Rose Daughter by Robin McKinley. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Now, Robin McKinley has another Beauty and the Beast retelling that I think might be more popular. I think it's got better reviews, maybe a higher average rating. But this is the one that I had on my shelf, and it was on audio on Hoopla, so I figured, why not go ahead and listen to it? And it was good. I enjoyed it. So, all right. That is all of the books. So now let me go over the Halloween prompts and tell you what I'm counting for each one. So if I can put a picture here, I will. If I can't, my apologies. I think I can, though. I think that this is just throwing me off because I'm using my webcam, but as long as this is on my computer, which it will be, I should be able to put it into my editing software and add photos to it. Okay, so it was a 9 prompt bingo card, and the top prompt, or the top corner, was ghost. Read a book about a ghost. So I am going to count Scritch Scratch for that prompt. It's definitely about a ghost, and that's a good one. There are a couple more that have a ghost in them, but I'm using those for other things. So definitely going to count Scritch Scratch for the ghost prompt. The next one is red on the cover. I've got a couple with red on the cover, but I think I'm going to use this one over My Dead Body, which is book 2 in the old 43 Old Cemetery Road series. It's got a red spine, and the title is in red. So I'm going to count that. And then the next one is Monster Mash. So I believe the prompt there is to read a book with monsters in it. And I'm going to count Curse of the Night Witch for that one. This also has red on the cover. In fact, I could count this for several of the prompts, but I'm going to count it for Monster Mash. Middle line, Coming Out of the Sky. Read a book about aliens. So I'm going to count Thrive by Kenneth Opel for that one. And then Black on the Cover. So again, I could count Curse of the Night Witch. I'm going to stretch, though. This is not a creepy book, but Willy Wonka's got a black top hat, so we're going to count that. Even though in this, is this watercolor? I don't know. Or it's almost like it's done with color pencil. It's kind of a grayish, but still, it's meant to be black, so I'm going to count that. And then Scooby-Doo as the next prompt. So read a book that had a friend group. Well, again, I could count Curse of the Night Witch. That was about a friend group going on a quest. But I'm going to count, because I don't have anything else to count this for. This was definitely a, supernatural book. Things Not Seen by Andrew Clements. I'm going to count this for friend group. Even though it was a friend group of 2, they were great for each other. They helped each other out. They were so supportive for each other, and I'm going to count that. The last line then, a spooky cover. All right, so I'm going to pull out one of my Montgomery books for that. This was our group read, even though this is really more YA than middle grade. Definitely got a spooky cover. Some of the short stories in this collection are spooky. Not all of them are. Some are just on the darker side. And definitely, though, a spooky cover. So I am going to count that. And then orange on the cover. I think I already mentioned, even though this is not a spooky book, can't deny that's got orange on the cover. So I'm going to count that. And the last one, Haunted House. So I am going to count the first book in the 43 Old Cemetery Road, which 43 Old Cemetery Road is a haunted house. So I'm going to count that. Definitely a good choice for the haunted house prompt. So that is it. Storm, thank you so much for hosting a really fun readathon. And I'm sorry I didn't contribute to the discussion on your Goodreads. I might still go back and just chat about what I read on there as well. But anyway, it was fun. So thank you so much. In case you missed my other videos, I participated also in Victober. I read 2 books that were written in the Victorian era and then another one about the Victorian era. And actually a couple of others that maybe they were pre-Victorian, not written in the Victorian era. I'm just thinking of like the setting. But anyway, I definitely read some historical fiction as well as actual Victorian literature. That was fun, and a lot of books by and about Lucy Maud Montgomery. So it was a fun reading month. 41 books, and I'm real happy with what I read. So in case you noticed a kitty back here, this is Cheeseburger. We don't have possum anymore, at least not here at the house. Katie, my youngest daughter, has moved over to campus. Well, she's living off campus in some student apartments where pets are allowed if you pay a pet deposit. So she took Possum, who is our little blind kitty, over there to be her emotional support animal. And so Cheeseburger misses him, I think, and he's coming around. If he knew how many people were watching him right now, he would freak out and run off because he's very shy. So I'm kind of surprised that he's even up here. I think he's just curious about what I'm doing. Anyway, that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. My voice is going soon, and it's getting late anyway, and I want to see if I can get this uploaded tonight. So I will be coming back soon. Probably will be doing a couple more videos on the computer. I'm going to try out another website that I think will be a little bit better than just the straight camera app on the computer. But meanwhile, let me know if you're able to see this okay and how it works for you. You know, it may not really be any better than it was on my phone, other than the fact that I'm hoping that at least the audio and video will line up. But my phone was getting so worn out that, you know, the pixels were not great, and it's just definitely time for a new something different, a new camera, a new phone, or something. Anyway, I'm rambling, so thank you for watching. I hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.